Joining me right now by phone, former Arkansas governor and Republican presidential candidate Mike Huckabee. Governor, good to have you here.
Thank you very much, Trish. Yeah, Tom Perez is showing what a lot of Democrats are, the ultimate double standard. Same thing they did with James Comey. They couldn't believe that James Comey was keeping his job until Donald Trump fired him, and then he became the greatest thing they'd ever known. And with the same thing with Sessions. The senators all voted against him. All the Democrats said he's not fit for the job. He's a racist. They gave all these ridiculous reasons. Jeff Sessions is a good, decent man, and he's been a friend a long time. But he clearly was at odds with the president in this job, and the president has the right to put people in positions that he has confidence in. People in those jobs serve at the pleasure of the president. It's just that simple.
So doesn't Tom Perez weaken his argument when he starts making these comparisons, say, if you would, to Watergate, saying that somehow the firing of Sessions is worse than Watergate? Once again, I fear, Governor, that these pundits and these politicians out there have a distorted sense of history. And I say that as a U.S. history major. I look at how they apply current day situations to history, and often it makes absolutely positively no sense and is downright despicable and a slap in the face to those that have suffered. And it comes to mind MSNBC and Joe Scarborough and some of his comments, shall we say, comparing the president to Adolf Hitler. But this is what they're doing. This revisionist version of history. Does this show you really how desperate they are? How worried are they that this Mueller thing is going to go away because there was no there to begin with?
Well, I think it shows us how desperate they are. It shows us how hyperbolic they are. It also shows how little history their audiences seem to have. I wonder, did anyone sitting in their audience, did they pass history? Did they pass civics? Just how little do they know in order to continue to say this? And
unfortunately,
they
know just enough to make positively no sense, right? Just enough.
Watergate, Trish, is like saying that there was a mud puddle outside my home. It's worse than the flood of Noah's day. That's how ridiculous some of these arguments are, and it makes no sense.
Irresponsible. You know, Governor, speaking of this irresponsibility, if you would, there's really I think an increasing lack of civility out there these days. I mean, we're seeing it, whether it be from reporters at the White House who don't seem to think that there's any need for any kind of decorum or any kind of etiquette, even though they're there at the White House. We're seeing it in the streets with Antifa protests. Many journalists, including one of our colleagues, have been targeted. I mean, and I know, sir, that this hits very close to you, to home for you, because your own daughter has experienced this, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. How do we wind up here, sir?
Well, it's very frustrating to me when people pretend that they're professional journalists, and they're not. They're advocates. And what happened yesterday at the White House was a disgusting display of just old-fashioned bullying. And you have a person who thinks he's his reporter, but the fact is he's an advocate. He didn't ask the president a question. He began by saying, I want to challenge you. Well, if he wants to debate the president, then he has an opportunity. He can get his name on the ballot in 2020. He can run for president, and then he gets to debate the man that he doesn't like. But if he's a reporter, his job is to ask legitimate questions. He may not get the answer that he wants, and when he doesn't, then he has to hand the mic over to one of his colleagues, because I don't know if he's looked around the room, but, Trish, he's not the only one in there. I'm sure they all would like to ask a question.
Oh, it was a packed room, and they all had questions, and quite a few of them were answered. But that struck me, too, Governor, because, you know, there is a sense of decorum that should come with being a White House correspondent. And one of the things that really bothered me was that young woman was there running the mics. I had one Democratic strategist on the program last night say, well, you know, it's the president's fault. It's the White House's fault for putting her in that position. Governor Huckabee, last I checked, you didn't need a bouncer at a White House press conference.
I hope not, Trish. You know, that's kind of crazy when we get to the place where we no longer believe that the reporters who are there to do a job, get information, share it with the people, and let the people make up their minds.
Well put. Thank you so much. Governor, thanks for joining. Good to see you.